Is this the 5995 Citroen Ami killer that we're all waiting for? Since Citroen confirmed that Ami was coming to the UK in 2021, I've always been hopeful that it would open up competition in this space. Small, light, cheap electric cars you would think would be a no-brainer, especially in those parts of the country where there are tight emissions controls coming in cities, other built-up areas, where switching to electric is advantageous, but also not having everybody driving around in 2-ton SUVs would also be a good idea. People have always had a bit of a problem with the price of Ami. 7695, the starting price always seems like a little bit too much for what you get for some people. I don't think that was helped by all the reviews that came out before Ami was actually confirmed for the UK, which gave the impression it was going to have a price tag around sort of £6,000. And that was because at the time, in France, you could buy one for around €7,000 and receive a government grant of around €1,000, bringing that price down to that €6,000, and you could reasonably translate into £6,000 price point. And since then, people have always been a little bit disappointed, feeling like, well, actually, 7695 and upwards, a little bit too much to pay for a small, limited quadricycle. Well, be disappointed no longer, because the Ark Zero from Ark Motors is now available to order for $5,995. Let me know if this description sounds familiar. It seats two. It has a top speed of 28 miles an hour. It weighs just under 500 kilograms. It can travel around 50 miles on a single charge. Sounds an awful lot like an Ami to me, doesn't it? On the face of it, the spec actually seems quite appealing if you look through the Ark Motors website here. It has an opening sunroof. Definitely something a lot of Ami owners wish that the Ami had. It has a stop-start button. It has a remote key. It has a reversing camera. God, it's absolute luxury out there, isn't it? It even has a radio with Bluetooth and USB. And believe it or not, it's even smaller than Ami. It's 2.5 metres long and 1.2 metres wide. But it's got that tandem seating position a little bit more like the Renault Twizy, where the driver sits in front of the passenger, which I know is not to everybody's taste, but it helps keep that size down. Hang on a minute here though, this all seems a bit too good to be true, doesn't it? $5,995 for all that. Well, let's take a slightly closer look at the specification, shall we? It has a 2.2 kilowatt motor. That is almost a third of the power that Ami has available. That's 3 horsepower from 2.2 kilowatts, that's the translation. 3 brake horsepower. And Ami can struggle to get up steep hills with 8. There's no further information here on performance, but given it weighs 489 kilograms, very, very similar in weight to Ami, I can't see it actually being viable with a 2.2 kilowatt motor. It's going to be really, really slow, isn't it? Unless you're just driving on the flat. I mean, I'd love to drive one, but I'm not sure it's going to be particularly pleasant. It might have a few more features, bit more spec, but if it can barely get itself down the road or indeed up a hill, it's not much use, is it? Quite a few Ami owners struggle with steep hills, and this, I mean, it's got to be worse. Same kind of weight, third of the power. I mean, you know, you can't change the laws of physics. Order now, their website says, for delivery in 14 to 16 weeks. And all you do is choose the colour. The rest of the spec is fixed and you basically just choose white, black, grey or red. And that's it. There really isn't a whole lot more information about the Ark Zero or who Ark Motors are. But I'd be amazed if they weren't just shipping these straight from China to order and passing them on at a markup, because can they really have established a manufacturing capability and they've come up with this new design and these cars? Yeah, I'm not sure. Because you may be forgiven for not having a clue who Ark Motors are. I'd never heard of them until I saw the Autocar article unveiling this Ark Zero at $5,995 that we're discussing here. There's a link to that original article in the description. Ark Automotive Limited was incorporated on the 26th of April 2023. So it really is a start-up company we're talking about here, given they've been in business for less than 60 days. Have they really managed to design, build and market a brand new model of car in that short amount of time? Knowing how long it took Citroen to bring an established vehicle here that they were selling elsewhere in the EU, I find that unlikely. It's much more likely that they've just found a Chinese manufacturer or something and they're slapping a new logo on it and bringing it over here, isn't it? Because there's loads of stuff like this available in China. If you ever look on like Alibaba, there's loads of different quadricycle type vehicles available. All shapes and sizes, all types of specification. And I dare say you can just ship them here, maybe make some changes for them to be legal in the UK and sell them. So off to Alibaba we go then. And this looks an awful lot like the Ark Zero, doesn't it? I mean, if it's not the same product, I'll be amazed actually. It looks absolutely identical in these pictures here. And the specifications even mention a 2200 watt, 2.2 kilowatt motor. They'll add your logo to it if you buy more than 5. I mean, it's got to be what the Ark Zero is. An Ark motor surely is just an importer bringing those over, slapping their logo on it. I mean, I actually wonder how much that would cost landed in the UK. So as you can see, they start about $2,700 US. But by the time you ship it over, you pay VAT and duty on it and all that stuff. And then you're going to have to stand behind these things if you offer them for sale in the UK. Consumer rights legislation and all that stuff means you are going to have to provide some kind of warranty with these vehicles. And there might not actually be a huge profit in it, even though, you know, $2,700 versus £6,000 seems like a lot. I think by the time they're here, probably not actually that much left. Ark claim on their website to have 300 certified service centres across the UK. That sounds a little bit far-fetched to me, given they've been in business for less than 60 days. If you compare this to the likes of BYD or Aura, who are just starting out offering their vehicles here in the UK, despite being massive established Chinese car manufacturers, you know, they've paired up with some big dealer groups and they're slowly building a dealer network here in the UK, but they won't have 300 service centres available for their products. So I would take that claim with a pinch of salt, but I mean, I'll welcome more information on this when it becomes available. But what do you think? Is the Ark Zero the Citroen Ami killer that everybody's waiting for? If they do materialise, well, I think how slow it is for that 2.2 kilowatt motor would be the deciding factor. I'd love to see more competition in this space, like I said though. I think it's really important we see some more of this sort of small, cheap EV enter the market. Not everybody needs a big SUV, and things like Ami and other competing products would be great to see. I mean, Renault don't even sell the Twizy here anymore. So I think seeing some more competition in this space would be really good, and hopefully Ark Motors are going to bring it. I'm not sure I'd be in a massive rush to sign up to give them $6,000, but they've got to start somewhere, haven't they? Let me know what you think in the comments. Will we see these reach our shores in just 14 to 16 weeks' time? Is somebody going to be brave enough to order one? Not going to be me, I'm afraid. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.